We are going to review another one of the escape games rooms. It is called Special Ops. So Special
For
Ops
those
is a
of
really
us in the biz, Mike, we call it Spec Ops. That's
Spec Ops in the biz.
Spec Ops. That's how we call it.
Ruin the intro.
I think Spec Ops, Special Ops, whatever you want to call it, is a cool room in that it does something that some of my favorite rooms do, and it's that you enter one world and you end feeling like you have gone to a completely different world. There is a transition moment where it just feels like you just entered into a whole new world, and you started off in a market in this one, or like an old school market, third world country market, and then by the end of the game, you are in a futuristic world that doesn't really exist. So that was a really cool thing about it. Let's talk positives about this room. What did you guys think?
I love this room. I'm so glad we didn't skip this. One of my favorite things to do in rooms is physical challenges and searching. Like it gets me so frustrated if I didn't find something and it was taking us a long time. And in that market, we had to search for so many puzzles, so many pieces, so many items. And it was endless. Like we spent minutes and still searching the same thing and still finding things. But in a market, it's chaos. There's things everywhere.
Keep searching.
And we stopped a few times and still said we have to find more, and we did. And there's a few items that's like, no way, that's part of the storyline, the puzzle. It's not a decor, and that was cool. So.
And that sounds cheesy, but it's a scavenger hunt. I mean that's a cool thing. People do scavenger hunts for entertainment in and of themselves. So I don't think searching is just some secondary thing that you have to do to get onto the fun stuff. I think the scavenger hunt part is fun.
Yeah, to go along with that, because that's kind of your rule that we kind of agreed to. We're going to search for everything first, get it all in there, so we can then decide what to do with it. And we did that, but then we had to go back and keep looking for more stuff. And then we got to some puzzles we were working on, like, wait a minute, we're still missing things. And so we went back and found more things. So that was really, if you like the searching, that was definitely a room that you needed to search. Of course, for me, there's a con. There's one area, there's a lot of searching in these things. I won't tell you what those things are. And it was just hard for me to get in and look at this because it's kind of gross. I'm not sure what was in those things, but you had to dive in and get them to find out what they were. But, you just got to do it. So you can imagine in a market where you're sticking your hand in, but,
Yeah.
Yeah, there are some rooms that feel very clean. This was not one of them.
That's correct.
If you're a germaphobe, not the best.
Yeah. If you're a germaphobe,
we're in Africa.
And all these escape games or the escape rooms have this little tiny squirter that they spray disinfectant on stuff. I'm just thinking,
can't do it in there.
That makes me feel better. I doubt it does anything, but it does make me feel better that you spray some sort of fog on those scarves and shoes and stuff like that. But I really liked this room.
And I think this. Go ahead.
I want to throw out a rhyme for to help us remember to keep searching. You ready for my rhyme?
No.
When in doubt, keep searching.
It doesn't rhyme.
Out. Search it. It doesn't rhyme.
Not all rhymes rhyme.
I'm going to search for some logic here.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Not all rhymes rhyme.
You had such an opportunity there.
Yeah.
That was terrible.
When you're in a lurching, keep searching.
Okay, that's better.
No, it doesn't
Searching's
make
not
sense.
a word.
Yeah, you just made it up. I would say the big pro for this room in my mind is just how expansive it is. I mean, in that market, you enter a second room or a second area in that market, and it feels like, okay, now we've opened up a new area, and you have just gotten started. By the time we finished that room, I felt like we had traveled blocks away. You leave the last door, and you're like 2 feet from where you started. Just feels like such a fun exploration of this world that you enter into. Very immersive.
Yeah. and some stuff that there was an electronic device in the room that did not look like it would work.
Right.
But it was ancient, but it worked, and it was a part of the puzzle. But you had to depend on this ancient electronic device that actually
That's
worked.
cool. Yeah.
That was cool.
I want to show you something. This is a prop from Spec Ops. Do you guys remember where this was in Spec Ops?
Yep.
So we got to tour the Escape Games factory where they build all their rooms and they ship them out to their locations. And there, one of the guys that builds the rooms actually gave me this. He turned one of the props from Spec Ops, because they're constantly replacing parts. As they get worn down, they replace them with new ones. And I think that's one of the things that makes the Escape game so good, is it never feels worn down. They just keep, if a part piece feels worn down, well, they replace it and they turn it into a magnet that I can hang on my refrigerator. But all the way through the room, they're just constantly updating and fixing and perfecting their rooms. And you can tell this room has gone through a lot of iterations and perfections.
There's a transition room that I think I could say this. It's an elevator that is a moving element, and it's you're in a shopping mall. Okay, it's in a really cool mall, by the way. The
Caleb goes, "Are we going down?" And Mark's like,
Just
we're in a mall.
The ground was shaking. Like, they added everything.
They figured out a way to make it feel like you were going 6 stories underneath the mall somehow.
It was a real elevator. The doors were real. Like,
yeah, it totally. I agree with you, Caleb. It totally felt like we were moving. My scientific head said we are not moving. We cannot be moving, but it totally felt they gave you the illusion.
Like, you thought you were kind of like in an old chute elevator, and it was crazy how they used the lights.
Yes.
Yeah.
What about that last area?
Yeah, that was my favorite area, because you had 2 different screens. The screen kind of glowed. You had to write on it. One had a computer kind of console. They're telling you what to do. Things were popping up on the screen. You had to be circling things, and you had all these different markers. So you had lots of different elements, layers on the screen that you had to figure out. And this everything kind of popped together and built on it together. And it took teamwork as well. It had to do with the story. So the story completely overlaid into what we had to do. And so, I mean, it's just a big, huge wall screen. That was pretty epic. I loved it a lot.
Yeah. If you ever watched the 24 show, like all those, how many seasons do they have of 24?
Jack Bauer.
This is Jack Bauer. This room made you feel a little bit like you were Jack Bauer.
That's Chloe O'Brien's room, and it's the C2U.
Yeah.
I did not feel like
nerdy.
I got Chloe in this room. I felt Jack Bauer. You could have felt like Chloe. That's fine. I felt like Jack Bauer.
So there was another puzzle in that last room that I loved. The 5th member of our team is Daniel, my other nephew, Billy's son, Caleb's brother. That Daniel and I just had to spend some time. It was a math problem. And so we just spent a lot of time working on this one puzzle. I love complex puzzles. It's going to take some brain power to get done. And so while Mark is doing that puzzle that he was talking about, where it's taking multiple people to run back and forth, Daniel and I are just staring at this math puzzle for like 10 minutes trying to figure it out. And the surprise element, I don't think we can give away too much, but there was a definite, beyond just you showed up in a CTU at the end of the game, which you didn't expect. There was another surprise at the end of the game that just made it that much more fun. So when you finish this room, very few rooms can give you such a celebration moment, like a victory moment, a climax moment. And this is a climax room. It is building all the way through. And by the end, you feel like, okay, we've just been through a story.
And the surprise was like, it was an awesome part of the story, because we thought we were finished with the room. And you're like, no, we have more puzzles to do because of the surprise element. So,
all right, let's talk negatives of this room.
None.
It's very difficult to find a con in this room. It was so freaking good.
It was good.
Yep. All right, let's do ratings. Billy, you want to go first?
Yeah, I'm gonna give 4.6.
So a 5. That's how rounding works.
Okay. I'm
Billy's
good
giving it a
with that.
5.
I loved it. That was a great
It's a
room.
great room. Yep. What you got, Mark?
I think I would give it a 5 too. I love the interaction of it. I love the storyline. The rooms were very interactive. The puzzles were good and fun, and I think it was a good challenge for you, who's a little bit more professional than I am, but yet I also be able to accomplish something myself too. And I love the room, so good solid 5.
Caleb.
I'll give it a 5. This room is number 2 on my list. It was amazing, and I loved the lighting. I loved us going into the different rooms and feeling like you're in a different world, like you said, Mike. We have 5 people in this room. I felt like all 5 of us stayed relatively busy the whole time, and a lot of us had to have teamwork. I felt like I worked with Mark a lot in this room, and that was fun. Because some of the same puzzles he loves, I love.
I totally agree with you. I'm giving it a 5. It is that good of a room. I can't think of negatives. The discovery element of this game is so cool. Even searching that main room, you're discovering things behind those bags. You're discovering things behind those, and you just keep discovering things that you're like, that is so cool that is back there. Not to mention discovering the rooms. Man, it was just a lot of fun. Pure fun.